cents under each subscriber module. Then in fourth quarter, we'll have our support for the upper 3.65 gigahertz band. Today, the radio is, and the spectrum from the FCC is split into two bands, a lower 25 and an upper 25. Today, we work in the lower 25, and in fourth quarter, we'll cover the full 50 megahertz. We'll have this extended range feature and SM isolation, and then another feature that people have asked about is the spectrum analyzer mode, which is available in our other PMP platforms. We'll have that spectrum analyzer feature in the fourth quarter. And then next year, early in the year, in the first quarter, we'll have a new downlink uplink ratio to support higher uplink throughput, and then secure management interfaces are using SNMP version 3 and HTTPS for secure web page access. So that kind of summarizes where we're going with the roadmap in the short term here. And I think I'll pause at this point on the PMP320. I know I probably just threw a lot of information out there, and see what kind of questions we have from the audience.
Well, thanks, Bruce. A lot of questions, actually. And we'll start with one with regards to GPS synchronization. If you're using GPS synchronization, do you need the CMM4?
Yes, so the GPS synchronization is provided by the CMM4.
And for those of you who are doing the FCC licensing, maybe you could go into a little bit about what it takes and what it costs to get the FCC licensing with these products.
Sure. It can all be done on the web, and it's I believe the cost is around $400 to get a nationwide license. And once you have that nationwide license, the next step is to go on there and enter in the GPS coordinates or geographical location of the access points that you're going to deploy. And then over time, as you populate the subscriber modules, you'll enter the locations of the subscriber modules as well. And that gives you access to a database that says, here's where all of the current 3.65 gigahertz operators are currently transmitting, what channel they're on, and you can kind of understand where you have opportunities to deploy 365. So it's a straightforward process. Lots of people have gone through the process, but it's certainly a straightforward procedure.
There's been a couple of questions which deal with distance and how far you can shoot with these. Could you talk a little bit about the distance capability and what's required?
Yeah, so we have, I'll give you sort of a summary of the ranges and throughputs that we see, and then I'll also point you to some online resources for that. We support, in the current product, we support up to 16 kilometers or about 10 miles with our 7 megahertz channels, and then in the 5 and 10 megahertz channels, if the product can go out to 8 kilometers or about 5 miles, or sorry, about 11 kilometers or about 8 miles. So you're talking about, and then we have a lot of people who have deployed the product in sort of the 5 to 7 mile range, where they put some limitation on themselves just because they understanding the foliage and the topography of the environment. So you kind of have to understand what kind of trees and foliage are around. But a lot of people have designed their networks around sort of that 5 mile or 5 to 7 mile range. In order to get the full MIMO capability, full MIMO B capability, you would want to bring that range down a little bit further to a few miles. And what I would recommend is going onto our support website, wirelessbroadbandsupport.com, and you can find on there a link budget tool that will give you exactly what kind of range and what kind of throughput to expect in each modulation level, including the MIMO modes. So you can see exactly what throughput you can expect to an individual subscriber module if you know what range they're going to be at. And then you can also, the tool has a couple of extra columns in there for dialing in extra amounts of loss if you expect to have more of a near line of sight or non-line of sight type of environment.
Great. Another attendee asks, just to confirm, are all the SMs as well as the APs, do they all need to be registered with a 3.65 license?
That is our understanding. In our discussions with the FCC, I think there's some interpretations out there in the industry on that, but our understanding is that you do need to register them.
And can you talk a little bit about the differences in the over-the-air specs between the point-to-point and point-to-multipoint products?
Well, so I can give you kind of a summary here. Motorola has a lot of different wireless broadband products, so I'll give you a summary of a few of them, and hopefully this is the ones that you're talking about when you refer to point-to-point, point-to-multipoint. The PMP320 uses an 802.16e standards-based protocol, so that means that both the physical and the MAC interface are standards 802.16e. Then we have our PMP100 product, which is traditionally called Canopy. That uses what we call an FSK, or frequency shift keying air interface, and then a proprietary Canopy MAC interface. And then we have our PMP 400 and 430 series, which is the OFDM product that uses a OFDM physical interface, and it supports normal OFDM type applications, 64 QAM, 16 QAM types of modulations. And then overlaying that is again, this Canopy MAC interface for doing GPS synchronization and self-interference mitigation. And then we have other point-to-point products which run their own completely separate OFDM physical and MAC interface, which is separate from that. So there's lots of different technologies that play here. It's really almost taking a step back from that and saying, what's the application that I'm trying to achieve based on the throughput needed, the types of near and non-line of sight coverage, and then, frankly, the cost.
Great. What I want to do at this point is turn to Matt Mangriotis and let him give us an overview of the 430. We'll come back to some more questions at the end as time permits. If your questions are not answered here, we'll try and get back with you and answer a question afterwards. There's been quite a bit of interest and quite a bit of questions, and that's great. So at this point, I'd like to introduce Matt Mangriotis. He's the product manager for the PMP 430 line at Motorola. Matt?
Thank you, Richard. Just to cover the PMP 430, again, we have a nice picture of the product on the right. The one on the right is the base station, or AP. The radio is attached to the antenna again, as you were noticing with the 320. The subscriber module looks a heck of a lot like our PMP 100 subscriber module. In fact, it's the same outside housing. The insides are quite a bit different, and you can see some of the overview specs here. We can get up to 45 megabits per second throughput at the AP. It's our highest capacity offering. That's through a 20 megahertz channel. This product is available in 5.8 gigahertz unlicensed spectrum, so no license is needed. Just for notes, it is also available in the rest of the world in 5.4 gigahertz unlicensed, but not yet available in the U.S. We're working with the FCC very closely to try and get that to become available in the U.S. Again, this product uses a 4-sector site configuration, 4 90-degree sectors. It allows you to do an AB kind of frequency plan, which allows you to better use your spectrum available. The channel bandwidth is configurable. You can go from 5, 10, or 20, depending on what's best for what your needs are. 5 obviously will give you better link budget and less interference. OFDM-based technology, as we've covered already, it allows non and near line of sight connections, whereas the FSK is really pretty much a strictly line of sight. The PMP 100 is pretty much strictly line of sight coverage. Another nice feature of the PMP 430 product is we have tiered SMs, meaning you can purchase a 10 megabit limited SM if you'd like, a 20, or an uncapped, which will do up to 45. And you can software upgrade those over the air by applying a licensed key that will allow you to switch between them if you need to. So that allows you to low capital outlay to get your network started, then you can grow as you go. The components of the system are pretty simple, and you're probably familiar with this if you're familiar with the PMP 100. This product goes along the same lines. You have an access point subscriber module